So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm here to read and share with y'all the stunning reversal of fortune that awaits Britney Spears. Okay? James Spears files motion to terminate the 13-year conservatorship of daughter Britney Spears. Now, this is one of the stories I like the most. Mel Gibson, Braveheart, freedom! Freedom, baby! Okay, I got this off of Daily Mail. Britney Spears' father, Jamie, files petition to end conservatorship and admits there may no longer be a reason for him to control singer's life. Ditto. But let me tell you what else this also means. That James Spears is trying to duck accountability for any illegalities that he may have committed, especially through the ill-gotten gains that he managed to get his hands on. 13 years, man. 13 years. Maybe Britney needed help back then, but does she need help now? Fuck no. Not even close. She appears energetic. She wants to marry the man of her dreams and start a family with him. And yeah, she should get a second shot. While she may not be able to get back the years that were stolen from her, she'll be able to make the best out of her future years. For most people, the future is way better than the past. Most people have their future so good, they don't give a fuck about the past, whether they had it good or bad. So anyway, let me read this article, man. Because this is just too interesting for me, man. Britney Spears' father has filed a petition to end his controversial 13-year control over her estate. Jamie Spears, 62, filed the documents at Los Angeles Superior Court on Tuesday after admitting there may no longer be any reason for him to control the singer's life. Now he's finally admitting the facts, man, admitting that, he fucked up. And it shouldn't have got this far in the first place. The paperwork seen by NBC News states that his daughter is entitled to have this court now seriously consider whether this conservatorship is no longer required. The filing said that his 39-year-old daughter's situation has changed to such an extent that grounds for establishment of a conservatorship may no longer exist. So now he's being frank. I would also hope that Britney's newly hired lawyer, Samuel B. Ingham III, persuaded James to, step aside and admit that this was faulty from the beginning and should not continue. But more shit is going to come out of this, watch, especially when Britney goes to court September 29th to see if the judge, Brenda Penny, will approve of the request. And I hope to God that she does, because this needs to stop, man. This ain't even Britney's fault. As Mr. Spears has said again and again, all he wants is what's best for his daughter, the document says. Liar. He's only saying that because he got caught and that Britney took the stand 3 or 4 months ago. Thank you, Britney, for speaking up. Fuck James. If Miss Spears wants to terminate the conservatorship and believes that she can handle her own life, Mr. Spears believes that she should get that chance. Judge Brenda Penny, who oversees the case, will need to approve the move. She better. The pop singer, who has been performing since she was a child, has been battling for the last 2 years to free herself from a conservatorship imposed in 2008 when she had a mental breakdown. This was before Amanda Bynes, of course. Hers didn't come until 5 years later, and she still got to go through her conservatorship. Anyway, backtrack to Britney. Criticism of the arrangement has grown with the singer and her supporters arguing that it may have been initially useful, but had long outgrown its purpose. See what I mean? Exactly what I was telling in my earlier videos. Okay? She needed help and she needed guidance back then, but now she's not even close to still needing that guidance. She don't need retention. What she do need is freedom. If you can grant Mel Gibson freedom at the end of Braveheart, you should grant Britney Spears freedom. James Spears was being paid $16,000 a month to manage his daughter's affairs while she was touring and raking in millions. On August 12th, amid mounting pressure from his daughter, his ex-wife Lynn, and Britney's fans, James Spears agreed to step down, but only when everything was in place. He did not indicate how long that would be. On Tuesday, the Louisiana-born father of 3 said he accepted the moment was now and defended his work over the past 13 years. Yeah, by abusing her and ruining her fucking life? Shit. She's going to need therapy after this. She's going to need serious therapy to process the 13-year trauma that was inflicted upon her. It ain't easy healing from such a thing. If I just got out of a guardianship, guess what? I too would be scarred. I mean, everything will have changed around me, and how do I navigate through that shit? That will be a challenge for me. The conservatorship has helped Miss Spears get through a major life crisis, rehabilitate and advance her career, and put her finances and her affairs in order. But recently, things have changed, the filing said, according to NBC. Miss Spears is now outspoken in her frustration with the level of control imposed by a conservatorship and has pleaded with this court to, quote unquote, let her have her life back. Fucking A, Britney. He also states that his legal team do not believe she requires further psychological assessment, something that will come to as a relief to the singer, who publicly objected to another evaluation. On July 26th, the singer's new lawyer, Matthew Rosengart. Oh, I thought it was Samuel Ingham, but nah, it was Matthew Rosengart. Appointed on July 14th after a lengthy battle to choose her own legal advocate, appealed to the court to have Jamie Spears removed from the conservatorship. It was Matthew Rosengart. He's had a history of representing past celebrities, which included Sean Penn, of course, if I'm not mistaken. But he was known to represent multiple celebrities. And on July 14th, Matthew Rosengart was appointed by Britney to represent her, which was a quick page turner for Britney and her future, of course. And I would also hope that it was Rosengart himself that persuaded James to step down and admit his faults. Good. Sorry for the error. I thought it was Samuel Ingham, but it was Matthew Rosengart, okay? I hear so many names. I run across so much shit. It can be confusing at times. Now, I'm going to read the whole thing on the conservatorship after I read this article. Let me backtrack to this, okay? In so doing, allowing her to hire a lawyer, this court has recognized that Ms. Spears has both the capacity and capability to identify, engage, and instruct counsel of her own choice on her own without the assistance of the conservator or the court, the document states. If Ms. Spears has the capability to engage counsel on her own, she presumably has the capacity to handle other contractual and business matters. A court hearing has been set for September 29. It's unclear how the new development will affect the scheduled session. I hope it does in a good way, though, because this seems like a page turner for Britney. This could turn a new page to her future, her long-awaited freedom. She had wanted freedom ever since she got locked in this fucking thing, you know? And trust me, had that been me, I too would be fucking pissed. Had that been you, you too would be fucking pissed. If you was locked under a bullshit conservatorship or guardianship under false pretenses. On June 23rd, the singer, worth an estimated $60 million, according to the court documents, spoke before Judge Brenda Penny to explain in excruciating detail how the arrangement had affected her and why she wanted it to end. Now, before the conservatorship, right, which was 2007, give or take, she was worth between 203 and 216 million. And I had long predicted, had she not been under that conservatorship, her net worth probably would have been worth about $1 billion or some change, you know? She would have been the next Oprah Winfrey, you know, the next Rihanna. You know, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter franchise, which were adapted into its films, she was once worth $1 billion, but now she's worth about 700. Backtrack to Britain. Hear this. She said that she was forced to have birth control implanted. Disgusting. And prevented from marrying her boyfriend, Iranian actor and personal trainer Sam Asghari. Now, I'm going to be a little on the nose on this, okay? She described that birth control implant as a intrauterine contraceptive device. You know, put inside her vagina to keep her from conceiving children. You know, that intrauterine device, yeah. An IUD. Now, I have never heard nothing like this before, but when I heard this shit, that shit made me want to throw up. I mean, how the fuck do you order an IUD inserted into your daughter's vagina just so that she can't have no more fucking kids? And you know how much it's going to cost for her to get that shit took out? Now you ought to think about that, James. You fucking idiot. I mean, I never heard nothing like this. To implant an intrauterine device on her. He even tried to take Sam Asghari away from Britney, but guess what? That didn't work. Nothing is working. Not on his fucking behalf, but everything is working on Britney's behalf, and that's a good thing. I sure hope that Judge Penny kills the conservatorship. Britney don't need this shit no fucking more. End the story. Get her the fuck out of there before she kills herself. Now, Britney said this. She said that every aspect of her life was dictated to her. And she was given a $2,000 a week allowance for all her spending, with minors controlling where she went and when. On Tuesday, her father addressed those complaints. She wants to control the money she has made from her career and spend it without supervision or oversight, the filing states. She wants to be able to get married and have a baby if she so chooses. I hope to God she does, because she lost the better half of her motherhood thanks to this bullshit. Because she got 2 children from her marriage to Kevin Federline. Okay? And they separated in like 2007, about a year prior to Britney's conservatorship, of course, which was brought on by her epic meltdown. You know, when she locked herself and her kids in the bathroom inside her former mansion. Her mansion, of course. And then the fucking SWAT team had to break down the door and drag her and those kids out of there. And they had to drag Britney in restraints. I remember seeing that shit on TV that night. You know, I was in bed watching the coverage, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? That could be you or me. But I'm glad nobody got killed that night. But somebody could have. Now, in short, she wants to live her life as she chooses without the constraints of a conservator or a court proceeding. And this also includes getting married and having kids. I believe Britney's entitled to that. Now I'm going to read that one more time in case y'all get confused. She wants to be able to get married and have a baby if she so chooses. In short, she wants to live her life as she chooses without the constraints of a conservator or court proceeding. Thank you, Britney. You are going to win this thing. You are a fucking winner. Thank you for going to court and speaking the truth and putting those son of a bitches on their asses. Okay? James and them ruined your life. You didn't have a childhood or an adulthood because of that piece of shit, James. Britney Spears noted that his daughter is now driving again and wants more control over her therapist sections. He also called for Jody Montgomery, who serves as the singer's personal conservator, while he manages the finances, to step down. Now, it's worth noting that if the judge orders the conservatorship killed, that means both Britney Spears and Jody Montgomery would have to resign. And everything that they currently have now would go to Britney, because she is no longer under a guardianship. He stepped down from the part of the conservatorship that controls his daughter's life decisions in 2019, with Montgomery taking over, of course, though her official status remains temporary. That seems to ring true, especially if this conservatorship dies, of course. And he criticized Rosengart, who on August 31st accused Britney Spears of extortion, claiming he was attempting to link his departure with payment of some $2 million in fees to his attorneys and for experts handling the media for his legal advice. Britney Spears said Rosengart had not helped with the swift process of the case. Lie. Ms. Spears recently testified that she did not know, at least in the past, that she could petition to end the conservatorship without submitting to a full psychological evaluation, Britney Spears' letters wrote. She was misinformed. That wasn't her fault. Because let me tell you something. Had she been informed sooner, this conservatorship would have ended a long fucking time ago. Britney would not be doing this right now, and maybe, just maybe, there would be no Jody Montgomery. Given Miss Spears' testimony, Mr. Spears does not know why a petition to terminate the conservatorship has not yet been filed. Well, that is until now, of course. I'm glad that bombshell got revealed. Britney's bombshell testimony could make a difference in the world of conservatorships and guardianships. And I'm glad that there's a law named after her to keep people currently under conservatorship guardianship from experiencing the same abuses as Britney did in question, of course. he attacked Jamie Spears for trying to avoid accountability for his actions over the past 13 years. Of course, that's why he filed this bombshell motion to just kill this motherfucker. It appears that Mr. Spears believes he can try to avoid accountability and justice, Rosengart said, including sitting for a sworn deposition and answering other discovery under oath. But as we assess his filing, which was inappropriately sent to the media before it was served on counsel, we will also continue to explore all options. Jamie was, until mid-August, of course, defying calls for him to step down. This is from Britney's friends, family, and team. Of course, even some celebrities rallied in support of her, including Isaac Gonzalez, a Baby Driver, Drew Barrymore, of course, Emma Stone, among others. On August 6th, he said in a court filing there were no grounds whatsoever for him to step aside, describing his daughter as mentally sick. Jamie Spears claimed in a court filing that Britney is struggling so much with her mental health that court-appointed professional Jody Montgomery, who oversees the pop star's life decisions, recommended hospitalizing her on emergency psychiatric hold, which failed, of course. She didn't need it. She was just traumatized through the whole legal process. These things happen. You know what I'm saying? I was traumatized when I went through a court process. That's what I attribute to racial trauma, given the fact that the courts, they tend to treat people of color differently than they do of non-color. Jamie Spears said Montgomery had called him in July, distraught, and sought his help with his daughter's mental health struggles, of course. He claimed that Montgomery had explained that Britney was not taking her medications properly and refused to see some of her doctors, and that she was spiraling out of control. Now I'm going to read this thing. Jamie Spears said he and Jody Montgomery, a professional conservator, discussed the possibility of hospitalizing Britney Spears on an emergency psychiatric hold. Montgomery disputed his account, of course. And now those two are at odds. Now that Britney dropped a bombshell against both her father and her court-appointed conservator Jody, now they're spitting in each other's faces. Now these things happen. You know, when they get caught, they start to fucking turn on each other. You know, and then everything starts to fall down like dominoes. And when the truth comes out, then you know the shit has hit the fan. And the shit is still hitting the fan to this day. So you think about that. Britney is winning the fucking war. And I couldn't be prouder. Montgomery and her lawyer said in response that Spears misrepresented and manipulated the call to use it to his own advantage. James did everything wrong, okay? James didn't do nothing right, even when he thought he did. Say he did do everything right. Say he did do everything right, which I highly doubt. Even if he did do everything right, he did it under false pretenses, okay? So that tells you right there he did everything wrong. He fucked up. He was never a good father. Don't you understand what I'm trying to tell you? James Spears was a fucked up father. Now, a lot of us have had some fucked up parents. And a lot of you can relate to having fucked up parents. Whether the problem is your mom or your dad or both, whatever. And I'm sure a lot of you can attest to this too. Especially if you had tremendous amounts of control of your life as a child. Now, this would traumatize any fucking body. Montgomery acknowledged in a statement through her attorney, Lorianne Wright, having concerns about Britney Spears' behavior and mental health, but said James Spears stepping down would only help. And so far it is. The judge would have to sign off on the move, though. That's the thing. One down, one to go. The statement said having her father, James Spears, continuing to serve as her conservator instead of a neutral professional fiduciary is having a serious impact on Miss Spears' mental health. Yes, it is. It is. That's why when she gave that bombshell testimony, that bizarre yet frank testimony, she broke down. You could see the pain in her eyes. Had this been me or anyone, would be in pain too. Because a lot of you see conservatorships as civil death, you know, as a new form of incarceration. And I believe you. You're right. Just like sending an innocent man to prison for the rest of his or her life for a crime that he or she didn't commit. Now that goes beyond abuse. To me, that's murder. Same for conservatorship guardianship. Legalized murder. Killing a person's civil rights and liberties. How the fuck do you normalize shit like that? I mean, seriously? Come on, man. It's just not fucking cool, man. At no time during the phone call did Montgomery suggest Britney Spears qualifies for a psychiatric hold. The statement said Montgomery was certain that the call was now being misrepresented and manipulated by Jane Spears to gain some sort of tactical advantage in a pending proceeding to remove him. Of course, man, this is going to be talked about for God knows how long, you know? Even when its conservatorship ends, Britney is still going to need help. Because she had a whole bunch of shit taken from her. And it can be really challenging to process through such trauma. It turns out that her adulthood was far more fucked up than her childhood. She had like half her fucking life killed over bullshit. That will make anybody homicidal if not suicidal. No wonder Cleve Browder killed himself in jail because of the fucking abuse that he went through while he was locked up for no reason. The fighting between those involved in the conservatorship has grown increasingly heated and increasingly public since Spears' dramatic testimony on June 23rd when she told the judge, "I just want my life back." It has also sharply divided the family, with Britney's mother, Lynn, 66, and sister, Jamie Lynn, 24, supporting the singer, but Britney publicly rejecting their support and accusing them of being absent and uncaring. Yeah, they got Jamie Lynn's age wrong. You know what I'm saying? She's actually 30. She's not 24 or 34. She is 30. She was born in 1991. No, I don't pay attention to typos. When I see them, I correct them. Fuck that. The court filings come as Britney's former bodyguard claims she is living like an inmate in a golden prison, as the singer has her phone calls monitored and is not allowed out unsupervised. Fuck. I mean, how do you believe this shit? Seriously? I mean, this is fucked up, man. Now, I believe we've reached the end of the article, but I'm going to read this whole conservatorship thing and give the timeline and the rundown, okay? This is going to take a little long, though, but still. You can always watch it later if you don't want to watch it now, just like you do my other videos, you know? I appreciate your support, but I'm going to go back, okay? I'm going to go back. Okay? It's conservatorship. I'm going to explain to y'all what it means in like a few seconds. So, stick around. Okay, now we're at it. What is a conservatorship? A lot of you still don't understand this, but I'm going to read it in black and white to you. A conservatorship is a legal concept whereby a probate court appoints a person to manage an incapacitated person or minor's financial and personal affairs. Yes, it is often a relative. The terminology and details vary state by state, but the general principles are all similar. The conservator's duties include overseeing finances, medical care, and living arrangements. In Britney's case, the conservators also oversee visitation arrangements with her two teenage sons, who are under the full custody of her ex-husband, Kevin Federline. It is most frequently used for someone who is severely mentally incapacitated or suffering from dementia. In the 13 years of Britney's conservatorship, she has released 4 albums, 2 of them going platinum, appeared as a judge on both The X Factor and American Idol, and had a 4-year residency in Las Vegas that reportedly grossed close to $138 million. Man, that's a fortune right there. The specific details of Britney's case have not been revealed, unless a judge says otherwise. They still retain rights to make certain decisions according to the California handbook. They can control salaries they earn, spend an allowance, retain legal representation, vote in elections, get married, draft their own wills, make medical decisions for themselves, and ask the judge to terminate conservatorships or replace their guardians. All conservatees have the right to be treated with understanding and respect, and to have their wishes considered. They all have basic human rights as well, and the right to be well cared for by you, the California handbook says. Britney says that she has not had these rights, which is true. It is unclear whether this is a violation of her case, or as agreed. But that won't happen until September 29, when she goes before Judge Penny, Brenda Penny, and then she will make a final ruling as to whether the conservatorship should continue or end entirely. If it ends entirely, that meant that it was a violation of her case. Let me play to you out there, okay? Now, listen up. There are two types of conservators, okay? A conservator of the person who looks after meals, housekeeping, transport, housing, and recreation, and a conservator of the estate who manages finances and protects assets. Sometimes one person can play both roles. It's also worth noting that a conservator of the person is typically referred to as a legal guardian. That's where legal guardianship comes in. And that's why conservatorship is also called guardianship, because the amount of control it has on the ward in question, whether it's the person's money or the person's life in general. You never know. The conservator of the estate must file periodic activity reports by the first year after their appointment and every 2 years following until the relationship is terminated. The estate managers have to disclose asset values, gains, and losses, and show receipts of all expenditures of conservatorship fund. They are also prohibited from borrowing money from the conservatee or lending out their cash. Many countries have similar systems. In the UK, it is called a deputyship. In Britain, however, the court will appoint an independent conservator rather than a family member. I think the rule should apply in America too, because a lot of the family members that have been hired to manage the affairs of their loved ones, that often results in abuse. And the wards have experienced past abuse with some of those family members. So yeah, this is some sort of relief to those that's currently under conservatorship. And with the Free Britney Act signed into law, which requires conservatees and wards to choose a conservator or guardian of their choosing outside of family. Now, this is an eye-opener, given what Britney has gone through. I sure hope if I do end up in a conservatorship in the future, they don't appoint a piece of shit family member. As are some of you too. Don't never ask a family member to manage your affairs unless you trust them enough. If you don't trust them, tell them to fuck off. Tell them, fuck you, kiss my ass. Okay? Remember I said that, the man in the black mask. Now, this is a timeline of Britney's complex conservatorship and how it began. This was like the beginning of her breakdown, of course. Listen, I got these fucking allergies, man. They're killing me. 2002, Jamie Spears and Len Spears divorce. Britney breaks up with Justin Timberlake around the same time. The tip of the iceberg. 2004, this I remember. Britney marries Kevin Federline. Fast forward to 2007. Britney, struggling through a custody battle and split with Kevin, shaves her head and attacks the paparazzo's car. I remember that. She took an umbrella to this guy's fucking car for no reason. I mean, really? A year later, 2008, Jamie Spears files for conservatorship on Britney, claiming she is not legally well enough to make her own decision. Well, that was true, because Britney was going through her own shit, you know. Her addiction, 2 suicide attempts, 2 5150s, yeah. So, yeah, it was easy to argue that she wasn't well enough to manage her own affairs, of course. So James was right. But with everything else, man, he was fucking wrong. Especially with the way he handled it. And still is. And all the fucking excuses that he's making now that he's about to get caught. Oh my fucking God. Now, 2009 to 2019, quiet conservatorship years. Yes, the conservatorship, which have been temporarily, is extended every year. In court papers, Jamie's attorneys describe how much she is making more money. 2019, the arrangement starts to crumble. This is the beginning of an end, of course. Turns out Britney was championing after all. And when the judge, Brenda Penny, kills the conservatorship, guess what? Britney will have officially won, man. And every fucking dollar that she makes will go to her. Not Jody, and definitely not James. They can both go fuck themselves if they had a hand in Britney's abuse. We're not going to speculate until after Penny renders her decision on September 29th. I will be back for that. Britney announces an indefinite work hiatus and cancels her lucrative Las Vegas residency. Jamie files paperwork asking for the conservatorship to be extended beyond California to apply in Hawaii, Louisiana, and Florida as well. He steps down as her primary conservator after allegations he abused one of her sons, but is still listed as one of those in charge. Because it's worth noting that, he hit his then 14-year-old son during an argument. Now, I bet you he did the same thing to Britney as a child. I know he beat Britney as a child. That's probably why she was having those meltdowns and why she got hooked, tried to kill herself, and lost custody of her kids. Thanks to that, James Spears motherfucker. It's his fucking fault Britney's in the mess that she's in now. Anybody else would have probably killed James. Had that been anybody else, he'd have a fucking 9mm slug right in his brain, right between the eyes. He'd be fucking dead. Had it's been anybody but Britney, that person would be doing life for killing that piece of shit. Early 2020, Britney, Jamie, and Jamie Lynn are in Louisiana together for 2 weeks. The Free Britney movement is kicking up. His attorneys claim everyone is happy together and enjoying spending time together in quarantine. Now, this was coronavirus, of course, when we all had to isolate indoors and couldn't go out for a little while. November 2020, Britney's attorneys claim in papers that she's afraid of her father, and they ask for Bessemer Trust to be put in charge. Her fans start speculating over her cryptic Instagram posts and videos that she wants a way out. December 2020, the conservatorship is extended until September 21. February 5th, 2001, framing Britney Spears debuts on Hulu. The conservatorship that Britney was put under is ordinarily used in situations where older, perhaps senile people can no longer look after their own affairs. She might have fit the criteria, but does she fit the criteria now? No fucking way. It gives control over to an appointed conservator for the best interests of the recipient, but in most states, the recipient is not healthy enough to make their own money, unlike Britney, who makes millions. Under the rules of the probate conservatorship, Jamie now has equal control over her estate to a third party and an attorney, Andrew Wallet, who had stepped down due to health issues. Wallet derives a salary of $426,000 a year from Britney's estate. Now, if this conservatorship were to end, Wallet, Spears, and Montgomery will be entitled to nothing over Britney. Britney will be entitled to everything. And the Three Stooges, meanwhile, will be entitled to nothing. He, Jamie, and the third party who was brought on recently can make deals on her behalf and restrict her visitors. June 23rd, 2021, Britney Spears speaks out in court. Bingo. Because I shared that video to you about last month or the month before. In emotional testimony, Britney told the court she had suffered psychologically for years as a result of the conservatorship, but which she said was so restrictive she wasn't allowed to remove her IUD birth control. Motherfucker. June 30th, 2021. Judge denies Britney's request to remove Jamie. That could all change come September 29th since he filed a bombshell motion to kill the conservatorship. Let's just pray that Penny honors Britney and James' request to kill the conservatorship. Judge Brenda Penny, responding to Britney's November 2020 request, refuses to remove Jamie from the agreement. She doesn't say why, but she does invite her attorney to file paperwork to end it, which he doesn't. July 1st, 2021, Bessemer Trust resigns after being put in charge with Jamie. A day after the judge's ruling, Bessemer Trust, which had been brought on, resigned, saying that they were never aware that Britney wanted to end the conservatorship. True that. In a court filing, the company's attorney said, "We heard her and respect her wishes." July 5th, 2021, Britney's longtime manager resigns. Larry Rudolph wrote a letter to Jamie and the conservatorship to say he was no longer needed since Britney wanted to retire. He said he hadn't spoken to her for 2 years, but had been told by others that she wanted to step down. July 6, 2021, Britney's attorney steps down. Sam Ingham, the attorney appointed to represent Britney in 2008, steps down after failing to file paperwork to terminate conservatorship, despite her plea. July 14, 2021. Britney wins right to choose her own lawyer. A Los Angeles court granted Britney the right to choose a lawyer to help her end the conservatorship after she told the judge the current situation was, quote unquote, allowing my dad to ruin my life. She has chosen former federal prosecutor Matthew Rosengart as her new attorney. Now, he was behind the planned motion to terminate Britney's conservatorship, while Sam Ingham was behind the decision to continue it. And he stepped down because he neglected to file paperwork to kill the conservatorship. Of course, July 23rd, 2021. Britney flashes her boobs on Instagram. Bizarre. Singer said a new post was hailed by fans, including Paris Hilton, as evidence of her determination to become a free woman, a sign of freedom. July 27, 2021. Britney Spears agrees to testify in support of her daughter. The singer's mother's attack on Jamie Spears gives her a powerful new ally in her bid to be free. So now, with her mother and younger sister's support, Britney Spears may win this battle after all. August 12, 2021. Jamie Spears agrees to step down as conservator. Remember, it was Matthew Rosengart that was to blame for this. He was a federal prosecutor, and he represented past celebrities. Nearly all of his clients involved prominent celebrities, let alone Britney. Jamie's lawyers filed court documents saying that he will step down and provide an orderly transition to another conservator. He said that he was doing so because he felt the public argument with his daughter was not in her best interest. September 7, 2021, the day before. Jamie Spears files to end the conservatorship. Jamie states that his daughter is entitled to have this court now seriously consider whether this conservatorship is no longer required. The filing went on to say that Britney Spears' circumstances have changed to such an extent that grounds for establishment of a conservatorship may no longer exist. September 29, 2021. Britney will be due back in court. Okay? Now, this is one of the best stories I've ever read when it focuses on freedom. Okay? I love freedom. Just like all of you. I mean, since when is it cool to have your rights stripped from you? Especially when you're already going through a tough time and these motherfuckers want to take advantage of you and break you down to the point where you fucking kill yourself or somebody else. I mean, come on, that's not right. I'm glad Britney's conservatorship is dying. I'm glad that Montgomery and James Spears are bumping heads nonstop. And I'm glad Britney's prior lawyer, Sam Ingham, stepped down. And I'm glad he fucked up, because this could lead Penny to rule in Britney's favor. And this could be the end for Jody Montgomery and James Spears. It's the end of days for them. And the money that they're currently entitled to now may not exist. Because why? Britney will get the money. And not Spears and Jody. They're going to have to find somebody else's life to fuck. And not Britney's. I'm just so happy about this. I can't even speak about it. I'm so fucking overjoyed by this thing. Of course. I mean, this is a joyous story. So yeah, it kind of threw me off a little bit. But it was a good story. It's a good fucking story. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But in my heart, I'm right. Now I want you to fucking acknowledge it. I'm right. I read the fuck out of this thing. It might have been a little throwing off, but it was good. I loved it. I love these fucking stories with happy endings. I even like movies and TV shows that have happy endings. You know? Happy tears, not sad ones. Happy laughs, too. You know, you can easily laugh at the shit that's being said and done on the screen. You see, that's why I like to watch TV and films, you know? Because I like to entertain myself. Because I want to feel the same emotion that they and the other audience members are feeling. I mean, come on. That's another reason why I like to go to the movies, to feel the emotion, to be moved, along with the audience, as to what the characters are going through. And that's a good thing. When is that a bad thing? It's never a fucking bad thing. I've been going to the movies ever since I was born. And please don't tell me it's not a fucking good thing. It is a fucking good thing. And that's why I love myself, because of my ability to be entertained by some of the stuff that I hear, especially if it's good. Emotion is good. You know what I'm saying? It keeps the heart in check. It keeps the heart healthy. It keeps the heart beating normally. And it's good for the brain too. Emotion and laughter are good for the body and soul. Okay? This is an interesting story that I just read to you. How could you not enjoy that shit? You have to be fucking stupid not to enjoy it. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Man in the Black Mask. Okay? And I will be back another time because I'm probably not going to come back today because I spent nearly 1 hour covering this whole shit. And I'm not going to overwork myself and drive myself crazy. So yeah, I'll be back another time. So don't forget to hit subscribe and click the bell. Okay? Subscribe to the Man in the Black Mask and click the bell if you want to be notified of the Man in the Black Mask's future posts. Okay? That's the only way you're going to find out whether I post any more shit on here is if you click that bell. Thank you for supporting me over the past year, too. When I bring stories out, I like to share the emotion, share laughs and tears with y'all. You know? This is what makes me love YouTube. I signed up for this a few months after the pandemic. You know? I'm glad the pandemic brought me here because politics is just way too important in the world of Corona. And just like some of you have resorted to YouTube, too, and not just myself, to cope with quarantine and everything else, too. Especially if you've been out of work due to the pandemic and have trouble finding other jobs. And I personally side with you on this. Those of you that's YouTubing, good luck in your future endeavors. I will continue to support you for as long as I'm still alive, okay? Keep up the good work. I know I'm gonna. So once again, don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell for future notifications. Until then, good luck, be well, and have a good day. And thank you for your service. The Man in the Black Mask loves each and every one of you with all his heart, body, and soul. Good luck to you all.